Is it possible to go from being an unknown coach to winning a national championship in college basketball? I'm loading up the best college game that we ever got and starting a new series as a head coach. It has been years since I last played this game though, so for this first episode, my goal is to rebuild a school or schools until we win a conference championship. And starting out with creating myself, I can't make myself 22, 25's gonna have to do, we'll go with the low height, and also I need to change this a bit. Now does this guy look like me? Not really, but it's as close as we're gonna get. And I can already see my starting coach grades are going to be terrible, but I'm gonna make myself pretty charismatic. I remember very few things about this game, but I think it helps with recruiting. We have a bunch of different starting schools to start out with. All of them are terrible. And after scrolling through all of them, I think it's only right that being from Kentucky, I start with Morehead State. There's a decent chance though that I'll get some better coach offers in this video and we change up our schools at least once or twice. And for the first coaching staff that I'm ever building, I can see that my options for assistant coaches are not good. One of the main reasons I chose this game over NCAA Basketball 10 for a Dynasty series is there's so much depth inside here. There's even an ABL for high school players to get some more runs. And I've taken absolutely nothing away from it because I don't know what I'm doing, but I can add some targets to our list. Recruiting in this game is special. You can go after players the second they become freshmen in high school. You can recruit them for years. There's also JUCOs that we can target. And if I really wanted to, I can also target prospects from around the world, like this kid's from Argentina. I wasn't kidding whenever I said Dynasty is super in-depth. There's a chance I get fired at Morehead State as well. Look at all of this information we have about both of our coaches, Greenleaf and Liberty. And then on the recruiting side of things, I can set whatever I want our priorities to be. So I want to focus on potential and then worry about shooting. There are so many reasons I'm excited for this series. Another thing is there is this Hall of Fame trophy room area that will fill up as we win trophies. So we're going to have all this stuff that we can look at as we have success throughout my career. And honestly, just seeing details like this on a game that came out in 2007 makes me want 2K to make the next college basketball game, not EA. I'm telling you, there's a lot to be excited about. The gameplay is a lot better as well. Even the conference information, we're going to be able to see team leaders, the best freshmen, the best shooters. But at some point, I have to start rebuilding Morehead State because this team is not good. We don't have many players above a 60 overall. If they're a freshman, I'm probably going to redshirt them. And if there's any player that's going to be a key one for us these first couple seasons, it's junior Taryn Bell. He is the best three-pointer in our starting lineup, even though it is only a 67 overall. But there's actually a way where I can improve that. We can work on different drills to improve stats, and that's what we're going to do with the three-point shooting one. I'm telling you all, you're going to love the depth that we can get out of this series on this game. First three-pointer with him is going to rim out. And I'm pretty sure I have to hit 5 from this spot and then 5 from those 2 other spots on the court as well, so there's a good chance I don't complete this. After hitting a couple of them, there's about 50 seconds left on the clock, so we still need to hit another 13 threes. And I might have made the difficulty too hard as well, but I can promise we are going to earn that national championship working our way up the coaching ladder throughout this series. After spending 90 seconds only making 4 3-pointers, he has fallen to his knees because he has failed the drill. And I understand that I need to start recruiting. We're going to see what players from Kentucky we have a chance at getting. They're not too exciting. And there's a couple things you can do. This is where charisma comes in big. Scouting also helps. We're going to be able to visit some of them. And for the first major thing I've done as a head coach, I've built out a list of 8 different targets that we can go after. There's some JUCOs on here that would be nice. There's also some players internationally we could bring on. And then there's some younger prospects that can't get here for a few seasons. Now, I really won't know much about them until we're able to scout them for a few weeks. And through scouting, the first thing I've discovered is Anderson as a small forward would have a B+ shot, but there's a couple schools that are way ahead of us. The same is true for center Laurie Swift. He's only 6'9", so I'm probably not going to go after him now, but for Brandon Richardson, the JUCO freshman, we're going to compete with Eastern Kentucky for this 3-star. Eventually, we were going to have to start playing games though, and our first one's against Houston, who ended up beating us 85-61, but that's what I was expecting. Since this is a rebuild in my coaching career, I will be simming a lot of games, but I'll also be playing some every season to get a better feel for the team. And our first win came against Western Illinois, where our point guard had 11 assists, and then our leading scorer was none other than Taryn Bell. There are so many screens on this player card where you can find more out about each player. I love the detail on here. He was just a 1-star prospect. And I just found out that if I want players to perform better, I have 10 pep talks every season, which is going to boost up their confidence stat. In the process of doing that for the entire starting lineup, I've realized we don't have a starting center. There isn't a single center on our entire roster, so maybe I should be going after both these centers, not just the kid from Poland, but also the guy that's from Virginia. The real struggle seems to be, though, these pitches aren't making much of an impact. But focusing back in on JUCO freshman Brandon Richardson, we have a lead on Wake Forest, and I'm also able to invite him to campus this week. We're going to beat Bowling Green in the process too, which is great news. There's even this show. I completely forgot about it. And that's because I skipped the preseason show, but there's a weekly recap that also shows everything everything going on around the country. Whenever people say they want immersion back in college sports games, this is exactly what they're talking about. They're going to tell us about games from around the country. They're going to show us standout players with highlights even. We're seeing highlights from games we didn't even play. That's just a really cool feature to me. Whenever it comes to Laurie Swift, the center though, that's from Virginia, he's going to commit to wherever SMM is, and that's why I'm happy to say that Brandon Richardson, we've pretty much sealed the deal on. After we get past this Marshall game, he's going to be able to sign with us if he wants to. And fortunately, he's done that, so this is the first signing in my coaching career. I'm really excited we got the 3-star to come to Morehead State, though I have to say, I'm offended by his priorities. It says he isn't concerned with getting good coaching. What's that supposed to mean? I know I still have to prove myself. It's not going well so far. We're sitting at 3-7 as we enter a bulk majority of our conference games. But we still have a long season ahead of us, and it's not like any of these teams are really standing out as great programs. It might be a little premature, but I'm gonna give all of our starters another pep talk just to boost up their confidence. And with a big game coming up against Eastern Kentucky, they're also going to take us down. I'm not sure how long I have at Morehead State, but I might just get fired in this first year, which means I probably shouldn't get too comfortable coaching for Morehead State. As we approach our final 2 games, we're sitting at 6-18, and I've made some progress on our international point guard and center that we're targeting from Cameroon and Poland, but we might not get them to sign. All of a sudden, West Virginia came out of nowhere with some interest, and what I've learned is there is no reason for a player to choose Morehead State. I was extremely hopeful that we'd be able to make a run in the conference tournament. Those were the first games I wanted to play in, but apparently finishing 10th out of 11 in the conference means we don't get a chance at trying to make it to March Madness with an automatic bid. Apparently only 8 teams make the Ohio Valley Conference tournament. That's extremely heartbreaking because just like that, our season's over, though nobody had good season stats. Taryn Bell only averaged 9.2 points per game. And even though Eastern Kentucky was the 1 seed in the Ohio Valley tournament, they lost in the first round while Tennessee State gets the automatic bid. We don't have much to look forward to, but we can watch Selection Sunday, see who made it to the tournament. And back when this game was created, there was only a 65 team field. One of the 1 seeds is Kentucky, and Louisville's a 2 seed, so they're representing our state in basketball well. And taking a look at the conference breakdown, this is back when it was the Pac-10. Now it's the Pac-2, but I'm not happy seeing this. Louisville won the entire thing. And we did get 1 extra attribute to distribute, so we can put that into charisma. But it's already told me that I have no job offers. No one else wants to take a chance on me. I can understand why. We also didn't get a single transfer. This is back when only a few players transferred every year. That feels like a low number, but very different compared to where college sports are now, and we're gonna have to say goodbye to our starting point guard and one of our better shooting guards. Those are the only 2 losses that we had, and I do have some good news whenever it comes to this center. Apparently West Virginia pulled out on the kid from Poland, and I'm really hoping that means we're able to sign him, but we've only been able to get a BD so far. With 1 week left in recruiting, he is at 91%. It's gonna come down to the wire. And here we go, moment of truth. Are we gonna pick up a 3rd prospect? We are. Getting Malesa at center is a huge deal for us because remember, we don't have any on the roster right now. And what's interesting is we have no stats to go off of for any of the players that we recruited. We don't know what their potential is. We don't know any of their stats. And one thing I think is pretty funny is the guy from Poland said one of his priorities is being close to home, yet he's come all the way to America. I guess you throw that out the window whenever you only have 1 place to play. There's no recruiting class rankings on this game. I'd expect us to be around like 200, but that's okay with me. And I'm also going to edit our schedule a bit. There's no reason for us to play Butler. We need easier opponents. At the moment, I'm honestly just surprised I haven't been fired yet. But if this year doesn't go well, it might happen after this season. We only have an average attendance of 1,300, 20%. Team unity doesn't exist either, but of the point guard that we brought in that's a freshman, he's a 62. We also got Brandon Richardson as a 67 sophomore, and then the star player on our team is our new freshman center from Poland. We really lucked out since we knew absolutely nothing about him. It looks like his close shot's at an 84. And if I scroll down on our roster, you're going to see I made the mistake of redshirting players last year. I'm not doing that this time. With 4 scholarships available, this time we're going to have to put together an even bigger class. I think recruiting from around the world helped us, but there's not many players interested in coming to Morehead State. What I very quickly realized was recruiting was going to be hard, so let's just relax with this season preview show. Going into this year, UConn's supposed to be the #1 team. And what I don't like is I'm not seeing Kentucky anywhere up there until number 16 in the polls. They really do a good job though showcasing players from across the country, breaking down the best players. And with the show out of the way, I have to figure out which of these players we still have a chance at landing, but I'm noticing on a lot of them, we're just behind by so many points that we're not going to be able to overcome. What I've done though is I've decided that we're just going to target international prospects again. It worked last year, and and then for the one player that's from Chicago, we've put all of our points into him. I've invited him to campus, I keep on visiting him in his home, and my hope is that helps. Before the season starts though, I can see our confidence is low. I'm gonna have to give these guys some pep talks just to boost it up. And that's because I'm really hoping we win our first game against Harvard, who we are the higher overall against. Our team unity is so low, but we got off to a 7-0 start. Now they're starting to score. We're just gonna sim to the end where we won by 16. Does it mean much? I didn't think so, but we also beat Southern Utah. Louisiana Lafayette gives us our first loss. And over on the recruiting side of things, I found out this small forward has a B+ shot. Nobody's going after him. For the power forward, we are just behind Rutgers, and then there's a chance that we get this kid over UWM. He says he wants to feel wanted. They haven't offered him a scholarship. We have. And I think we also just beat them in sim because the same team that we played in sim was UWM. All of a sudden, Morehead State is sitting at 4-1. I don't know if it's because of Brandon Richardson. He just did his best game, but he's averaging 5.2 points per game. And I do have some bad news with our starting freshman center being injured with a dislocated finger. He's going to be out against Iowa, who is most certainly going to take us down. But it was only by 2 points. If we can make it to the conference tournament this year, that's all I'm hoping for. I'm trying my absolute hardest to not get fired, though we're not going to sign Lance yet because we have him at 99% interest, and this is the final week he can accept the scholarship. After that, all things go out the window. We're about to start conference play against Eastern Kentucky. They were the best team in the conference last year. They're currently 1-4, so I trust us to win, even if Taryn Bell is injured and we lose. Then it popped up that Lance has signed with someone else. He chose the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I poured so many resources into him. Now I'm being told that we have 2 unhappy players that might want to transfer. And now I realize what the pep talks are for, though I'm okay with both of them leaving since they're both juniors and they're not the highest overalls. From what I can see, injuries have destroyed our team. It is the only reason that we've started to lose more. And it just breaks my heart that we weren't able to get Lance. We were at 99%. He has joined them as a walk-on. They didn't even give him a scholarship. From what I can tell, this team's just going to keep on losing until we get healthy again. And as we enter this game against 9-6 Murray State, we have been on an 8-game losing streak that we have got to snap. If something doesn't change soon, we're not going to finish in the top 8 in the Ohio Valley Conference, making it to the conference tournament. But none of the new players I want to use are healthy at the moment, so I have to sim up to the Eastern Kentucky game where we're going to play another in-state opponent. Can we please just win one of these in sim? There we go. Is it too late to save the season? Potentially. Our starting point guard that's a freshman has been out for most of the year too. But apparently, even with them being hurt, I think they've still been getting minutes. If we can just find a way to bring in these international guards, that problem will be solved by next year. We'd have some better players out there on the court, but I'll probably be fired before then. They're not going to give a coach with no experience much more of a chance, which is exactly why we cannot mess this up, even playing on the road. I have been inside this arena before. I have been down to Richmond. I actually worked quite a few games with statistics there, and I fixed the camera. I have been waiting for this moment since I started filming where we get to actually play, though we're going to go to our freshman and he loses the ball. Not exactly an ideal start for us, though we've almost forced a steal as well, leaving an open 3-point shooter. It rattles in. And they are pressing us right off the rip. They're going to try and force turnovers. You can see this gameplay already feels smoother than what we had on NCAA Basketball 10. I just don't know what I'm doing. I might have made it too difficult. And all I really want to do is get onto the board. We're using our injured point guard at the moment to drive around and put it in. The freshman's pretty big, I'll give him that, but they keep on putting up threes. And we know this team can't shoot them. I'm hoping this open look helps us. It does. I think we're starting to figure things out. Crossover goes out of bounds, and I take it back immediately. I'm not figuring anything out. It's kind of funny how this game was put together about 20 years ago, and almost nothing has changed about this gym. They've actually gotten it down pretty well. And out in transition, running the court, putting it up with our shooting guard, he misses his layup. You might not notice his name, but I literally put this kid in the game because he is the highest three-pointer on our roster. It's an 87. I'm gonna put it up in this dude's face. And I don't know if I talked about the 5-minute halves or not yet. It allows me to play a lot of games in the video, which will be a lot more fun. I'm looking forward to the series on this game. I know I'm gonna have to get better though before we have a chance at winning a championship, and I highly doubt it's gonna come at Morehead State either. I'm expecting us to change teams a couple of times before the end of this video even. The freshmen can't hit the fadeaway. All right, we'll see what they do in transition. Pulling up in our face is not a good idea, and I'm gonna go right back at them. We're going to hit the 3 instead. Never mind. We're missing. To end the half, it looks like we're going to be down by 1, but I'm going to try to run the court, see if we can hit a 3. I don't know what's going on. And I am so bad at this game. We just airballed a fadeaway. Going into the locker room, not much to be happy about, but look at how we can adjust stuff throughout halftime. It's all on this board. That is sick. You can tell that game developers just poured their heart and soul into this game. And 2K really sets the standard for stuff like that. Great start to the second half, but it's not going to last for long because they've gotten an and one out of us too. I know our team isn't very good, but neither are they. And I know I'm set up to get fired if we don't start winning a little bit more. As time winds down, you're going to see that we find ourselves leaving them open. They're calling so many fouls. And I'm trying to run the court right back at them, go up with it with our center, but he missed. Now, I don't remember how to do free throws in this game. I think it's this shot meter. That's going to be too early. It almost falls. And we'll see if our center from Poland can hit this one. Again, too early. This is not good. They just slammed it in our face. And we're running the court. I'm literally going to pull up even though we can't shoot threes with him, which didn't really work out for us, but I've put our three-point shooter into the game. If we're going to pull off the comeback, we need him to start hitting these shots. And that just didn't happen, which is not raising my confidence. I mean, we shouldn't be hitting this. But we fouled their center, which should have been good news, except he was able to hit one of his 2 free throws. We tried our best to come back at the end, but we lost by 4. We shot 2 of 13 from the 3-point line. And that game turned out to be a great example of what not to do. We're just going to sim through the rest of the year, which I can only imagine isn't going to go well, but we seem to still have a lead for all the prospects we're pursuing. Luckily for us, for a short period, things did get better. We won 4 of these 6 matchups, and we're ending the year with these 2 games. But no matter how we do, I don't think it's going to matter. We have to face Eastern Illinois, one of the best teams in our conference, and we're still at the bottom of the standings. I do find it weird that as a higher overall than the best team in our conference, we're the ones that have struggled. But I think a lot of different factors matter in this game, like team unity. We only have 2 bars at the bottom of the screen. I'm also an unexperienced head coach. They could have an experienced one. We're going to lose that game against Sanford. We're also going to lose. And the short period where we had a little bit of success in conference play has ended. We were the worst team by far. I'm sure not happy about it, but if it was going to be easy, they wouldn't have offered an unexperienced head coach a job. And you can see those 2 players are still mad at me for not giving them many chances to be out there, but look at these stats. They're terrible. You know things are rough when the player that leads your team in assists per game is a freshman with only 4, and then whenever it comes to rebounds, 5.7 and 4 is the best we can get. I'm just so disappointed. It looks like Eastern Kentucky made up for their failed run last year by winning the tournament this time. So at least the team that we faced off against and lost to was a team that was the best in the conference. Plus, they were also a 13 seed, which is solid for the Ohio Valley Conference. They just lost in the first round to Georgetown. By the time the Final 4 rolled around, it was between these teams. Michigan State will probably win it all. But it turns out that wasn't the case. It was actually Duke that did. Now, I'm just starting to realize I missed out on menu screens last year. There's a Player of the Year screen where a 7-1 center from Utah averaged 27 points per game. And there's also a mid-major Player of the Year, which we could actually win one day. Taking a deeper look at Eastern Illinois' roster as well, that is something that we could compete with. We had something very similar. Eastern Kentucky's has a 74 overall freshman, though. That's going to be tough to beat. And Tennessee State had the Player of the Year, but he's a senior, so he's gone. I'm pretty sure we had at least 1 player on the first team list. I saw an achievement pop up. And there it is. For freshman all-conference in the Ohio Valley, we controlled 4 of the 5 spots. That's incredible. Now, we need those guys to actually progress and for me to not get fired because we're going to lose 5 players to graduation or the transfer portal. They said that they were going to leave the team. But only one of these hurts. Taryn Bell, the best player when we started this rebuild, who was never great. It's time for the moment of truth, though. We won 3 more games. Our job security isn't fully depleted. And I can't tell whether or not we're going to have a job at Morehead State, but we're going to get our charisma up to an A. Now, we can go through this carousel seeing if anybody gives us a job offer, but I'm pretty positive that there's not going to be a single chance for that. And I've thought about trying to get some different assistant coaches in here, but I'm not sure anybody else is better. Nobody wants to transfer in. The transfer portal was a lot more active in college basketball this season, though. And it's our time to shine to see if we can get some of these international players to commit. But the problem is we have to have them at least above 50% interest to even have a chance. And it's going to come down to the wire because all I can do is give them phone calls. Just in case we're not able to sign them, I've started to scroll through some of the other 3-star prospects around and nobody's going after Tank O'Sullivan. And with an A- shot, I've decided it can't hurt to go all in on him or Okafor. I'm also going to have this 4-star on the board just in case he doesn't get pursued by St. Mary's. We have a lot of ground to make up though, and I think we just got 2 scholarships available from players transferring out. So we'll see if we're able to make any progress with some visits. Well, all it took was 1 week for more schools to start going after some of these players. We're not going to have much of a chance, especially if a team like Kentucky's in front of us. And with 1 more week of being super aggressive going after him, I've decided there's no no point in keeping him on our board. We're going to pull that scholarship. And since no one's offered one to 4-star point guard Marshall Warsaw, we're just going to go after him and see if we can make any noise. Going into the final week of recruiting, though, this is what things are looking like. We are very close to getting a couple of those international players. It's going to come down to the wire, and then the 4-star chose USC. He actually decided to walk on there, so this is the second time a player would rather be a walk-on than have a scholarship at Morehead State. But I can't blame them. There's a chance we still get the 109th best player in the class. No one else is going after Jerry Okafor now. We just need to get 13 percentage points off of a visit. You can only do so much with recruiting in 1 week, so the rest of it is out of my control. And there it is. Jerry Okafor, the highest rated prospect we've ever gotten, almost top 100, has signed with us. Now I really need some of these players to make an instant impact so I don't get fired next year, because I feel like I am setting up the future for the Eagles very well. And if you take a look around the country at other schools that are signing a lot of 3-stars, Idaho's up here, who also somehow got a 4-star to go out there. Baylor's up here though, so we're with Penn State, Illinois. I like it. There's no guarantee we're going to be any better. It won't tell me who is projected to finish first in the conference. But if you take a look at our roster makeup, we're a 76 overall. We have 66 overalls or higher starting, and there is so many freshmen and sophomore out there with no seniors and 1 junior. That's right, we only have a couple scholarships, so I might as well just take our shot on some of the biggest prospects in the country, see if we can somehow convince them to come here. And I just realized that Jerry Okafor is a fast 6'6", 205-pound point guard that probably can shoot threes decently. 77 isn't bad. The potential is where I get a bit worried though. We don't have anything above a C+, and I'd assume that gets them up to about like a 78, 79 max. And we have a couple good point guards, so what I'm going to do with Jerry Okafor is move him to shooting guard. That position was actually a better fit for him. He's up to a 69. And I have no idea how this is going to go for us, but I've set our rotation with only 8 players out there on the court, which are mainly just the guys that I've recruited. Besides Brandon Richardson, who came in as a JUCO, they're all freshmen or sophomores, which means if anybody's getting any pep talks, it's going to be some of those starters. I mean, in just comparing our roster to the rest of the conference, Murray State has an 80 overall. He's the best player by far though. We compete with all of these other teams pretty well, which means I'm expecting us to finish above 500, and if we don't, I'll probably be fired. When it came to recruiting, I was trying to go after a 4-star, but what I could tell early on was we're not going to get Myers Stevenson, and we're going to have to settle for this 3-star from Venezuela that we had on our board last year. We've been giving this kid phone calls for at least a year. Besides that, I think Valdez Green is going to be the other option because we have a good chance at getting him. Looking at this kid, he's a JUCO, but we don't need another small forward. And I gotta say, I was surprised we won our first game against Maine, but we lost to Princeton, then we won this one. So we're currently sitting at 2-1, but taking down Western Illinois is something we've always done, and one of our best players is the new shooting guard, Jerry Okafor. That's very exciting to me, and I did consider Isaiah Burke for a second over trying to get Valdez Green, but I can see that rebounding is going to be a big thing for us. We're going to go after him. And we're currently in first place for another 3-star prospect. We don't have many scholarships available unless we start to see players transfer out. I swear, we played Iowa last year too, and we have just never had what it takes to beat them, but we always keep it close. As we make it to the week where some of these players can commit early though, we're not going to get Valdez Green yet. He's at 90%. We're going to have to keep an eye on him all year. The same is going to be true for Torres. And you might have noticed, there's a couple players on our board that we're keeping an eye on as sophomores and freshmen. This would pretty much build a whole new starting lineup for us besides a center. If this season goes bad at Morehead State, I might not even be there by the time that they're looking to commit to a school. We've beat Tennessee State though, and I'm fairly confident in this team to get us to the Ohio Valley Conference tournament this year, though there's going to be players that want to leave since they are not getting like any time on the court. I'm already getting told that Cedric Abidi's unhappy. He was our leading assister last year, but it was only 4 assists. I can't be too invested in him, even if Aaron Allen has come in, taken his spot, and not passed it as much. We will see how the rest of the year plays out. We just beat Austin Peay. I put UMBC on the schedule. I'm sure you all remember that. And as we get further into the year, I can tell that a couple players are going to transfer out, just like last season, but they're lower overalls. It's okay. We beat Murray State, who had the highest overall player in our conference. It's a good sign. And as we hit the midway point in the year, this is what the stat leaders are looking like. We still don't have a leading scorer that's putting up 15, 20 points per game. But we do have both a Cristiano Ngonu and a Chris Ngonu. I didn't realize we recruited 2 of the same players. They gotta be brothers. This is so cool. They're both from Cameroon. They're brothers 100%. 100%. I don't know how I didn't notice this until sooner. One of them can shoot three-pointers better though, and one of them got blessed with the height. Now, Tennessee Martin is the best team in our conference by far. We're in 5th place. We cannot fall to the bottom 3 or else we won't make the conference tournament. And I'd also 100% be fired. Now, I've just been made aware that every time I complete a legacy goal, I get a coach upgrade to use at the end of the season. So I'm going to look for some other goals we can shoot to complete, which really shouldn't be too bad. I don't think we're going to ever win a conference player of the year until we get some higher overalls, but we can have a player chosen for all conference. And we can also coach a team to a winning record, get 20 wins, win a non-conference tournament. That's going to be the end of this video for the series. And what I've realized is there's plenty I can do to continue to progress forward. I've also worked pretty hard in recruiting to lock up this small forward with A- shooting from Venezuela, which makes me not want to go after Isaac Burke, the JUCO freshman that is B+ shooting, and instead keep the scholarship on Voldis Green, but we only have 2 to use and I still might change my mind. Whenever a recruit's main priority is playing time, it could cause them to transfer out if they don't get on the court immediately, and that's something that we wouldn't have to deal with Isaac Burke. And I think you can understand how that makes a big difference because we've been dealing with unhappy players for a couple seasons now. It's dragging down our team unity against Murray State. We've now beat them twice this year. We also just beat who was the best team in the conference at one point. And at 15-10, I think we have guaranteed that we finish with a winning record if we just win one more game. That doesn't even mean that much to me though, because you can see the 3 teams that are at the bottom of the Ohio Valley Conference. It's not going to be us. We're going to have the 5 or 4 seed most likely. And I have changed my mind on Voldis Green. We are going to resign his scholarship. It falls us down to 90%, but we still have the first place spot. So that way, if when the time comes, Isaac Burke doesn't choose our school, he chooses UNCA instead, we're still able to get the power forward. And I'm hoping that was the right decision. With a win over the Panthers, we have locked in a season over 500. And there's no way Morehead State can fire me now, especially if we can get far in the conference tournament. We're the 5 seed going up against 4 seed Tennessee Tech. And I'm not sure whether or not we get to host this game at home, but if we do, that'd be awesome. Well, it turns out the first round of the Ohio Valley Conference tournament used to be on Tennessee's court. And whenever you compare this lineup to what we had out there last year, it's pretty new, though our center and power forward didn't change. We have worked so hard in this rebuild to get Morehead State to this point. With all the crowd being purple, though, it definitely favors Tennessee Tech. Makes sense. They are the higher seed. Or lower seed. I always mess that up. We have given up a 3-pointer that was open. They grabbed the rebound, and they still can't put it in. Now I'm ready to see what Okafor can really do. We know that he is a 6'6" shooting guard. He was a point guard. He's a lefty. And they've gotten out in transition where we couldn't stop him. From that moment, they'd score another 4 points. We keep on turning it over, and then they get out and just finish up an easy layup. I don't know if it's because I'm making terrible passes, trying to keep up with them speed-wise, but our Polish center could not make that dunk, and I still don't have the free throws down. We cannot get embarrassed in this first round. It's not a good start, but there's still plenty of time left in this game for us to perform better. We just got to play better defensively. I'm also hoping we can hit a 3-pointer. It's very deep, but I still threw it up there. And then they went down the court and made one themselves, so we currently are trailing 15-5. I thought this team was good enough. I could also be a part of the problem, but what I've very quickly learned is since I'm not too familiar with this game, we do not need to be a team that runs very fast in transition. It's not worked out well for us so far in this game. I'm trying to move it around and hopefully just make a 3-pointer or something. But I think I've already decided that this one's going to have to be a learning experience because I'm just not that good yet. As we end this first half, it's going to be 15-7. I scored 7 points. And because we played so poorly in that first half, I've put out our best shooter from last year who's hitting the 3. I wasn't really sure how that was going to go. His 3-point shot is actually down by like -3 because we didn't have a great first half. I'm going for the fade. And I'm very quickly realizing that they're just going to keep on scoring. Now, if I launch it down the court and we run quick enough, we might be able to slam one down. But we still find ourselves down by 7 points. I'm hoping we can pull off a trap or something, except they're getting an open look at 3. I have realized we've got to figure out something for next year. This can't happen again. That's not a good look. And coaching in my first Ohio Valley Conference tournament game, I thought it'd go differently. To pull off a comeback with this little time left, I'm not sure it's even possible. Though that move from Okafor was crazy. And now we're trying to force that double, triple team, which is just giving them open 3-point shots. That works. Okafor's our best player. I'm trying to get it back to him. He has a very slow release. But I'm glad each player feels different on here. It's better than NCAA Basketball 10. We can't give that up. This game has just been a disaster. It shows I was not ready for it offensively. And I'm not even sure what the settings would be to start fouling to force a trap at all, though that could have been a great block. This is unfortunately where season number 3 is going going to end for us at Morehead State. Next year, we're going to have to come out playing better, because assuming they hit their free throws, this one's over. They grab the board. It's just unacceptable from this team. We at least got it right here. There is still a fighting chance if Okafor can drill another one in their face. But he couldn't come up clutch for us. I wasn't expecting him to. And they had the player of the game. Nora scored half of their points. This is the one time I need to skip the show. I don't want to hear them glaze him for a bit. And at the end of the day, I'm very happy with the season that we had. Tennessee Tech almost won the entire thing too. As for Austin Peay, who did, they lost in the first round as a 16 seed. That's probably where we'd get in at. But it was to Florida who made the championship, so they can be okay with it. The Gators ended up winning it all, and looking at their roster, it seems like overalls don't ever really get above 90. So that's nice to keep in mind. Centers also make a huge difference. This is another time where a player of the year has been a center. 30 points per game. I know we didn't have anybody come close to putting up numbers like that, though the best player in our conference is just a 69 overall, so I'm wondering why we didn't. We had conference freshman of the year, but that wasn't good enough for us to get anybody on the all-conference team, which would have been an achievement. We're still dominating the freshman all-conference team. And then I got this screen. Coach Bordeaux, your contract has been renewed for 3 years. That was it. If we didn't have a successful year, I would have been fired trying to find another job. We lost a couple players to the transfer portal again, but I don't care about that at all. I did not want to have to restart with another terrible team because we're just starting to make progress. We finally have enough attributes to max out our charisma. I'm also going to start working on teaching so players can progress faster. And I wasn't expecting this, but as I was going through the coaching carousel, I got an offer from Central Connecticut. Now, do I want to be a part of Central Connecticut State? Not really. I feel like I've built up a better team at Morehead State. But I just realized this Unity screen has stuff like game experience on it, and that's probably why we're struggling. They also have an arena capacity of just 3,200, which is smaller than what we're working with, but they have 100% attendance. It's nice to know that I'm getting offers. I'm still going to look at them throughout the rest of this video and throughout the rest of my coaching career. But I had to decline that one. It'd be awesome if Yale wanted us, and they do. Now, under most circumstances, I would actually just accept this because I want to be in the Ivy League, but the Ivy League conference is broken on this game. There's no conference tournament either. So I have to decline this job offer too, and I learned that by trying to film with Harvard on here. The job offers aren't done though. American also wants us. Their roster is not anything compared to what we have at Morehead State, starting 256 overalls. And they're a part of the worst conference in the country right now, ranked 32nd, the Patriot League, plus they went 3-27. I think I'm just going to end up declining any other offers that we get. One of them even came from Kennesaw State, but I don't want to be with these low schools. I believe my best chance to move up to a bigger program would be continuing with Morehead State, at least for now. We still got no transfer options. But not very many teams in our conference did, plus they're going to be older, and I think they have to sit out for a season. I'm happy with my choice to stay with the Eagles, at least for now though. Looking at Melissa's season stats, 11 points per game, our only double-digit score, which is kinda sad. But other players like Jerry Okafor are going to help us moving forward. He almost had 4 assists per game himself, and then the new starting point guard Aaron Allen outdid what we had last year. So I know I've made the right decision with the players we have out there on the court, but we can't get Isaac Park to come here. That is a devastating blow. The JUCO decided he didn't want to play for us, and we left Valdez Green to give him the scholarship, so I'm hoping we can just come right back in. It could be worth it though to go after this kid from South Dakota that won Mr. Basketball, 142nd in the class. No one else wants him, which didn't last for long, but we might still be able to get him. And then since we had players transfer out, I realized we could finally give Green the scholarship he's been wanting. It's starting to hit me that I'm going after a lot less players than I should have. But that's when I discovered Benny Potter. He's a center, only 6'9", 430th best player in his class. No one else wanted him, so we're putting points into him. And then with Teddy Childs, we're the only school that's offered him a scholarship. So I'm doing all that I can, especially inviting them to visit our campus. If we could sign a Mr. Basketball, I don't care if it's in South Dakota. It is still a Mr. Basketball. It's an achievement. We have gotten one. And I know he's 6'5". He's small, so he might move to small forward for us, maybe even shooting guard. I mean, most of the guys that we signed at these bigger positions are short. But I don't care about that. I'm just glad that we can say we signed a Mr. Basketball. We're up here with some other huge schools. Idaho State might not be one of them, but we're going to look for Kentucky's Mr. Basketball next year. I have to say, I'm pretty excited with this freshman class. We have 271 overalls with Armin Torres and Teddy Childs, and he played for a team called Cold as Ice. He won Mr. Basketball as a sophomore. He is a 69 overall three-pointer, but an A- potential. All of a sudden, Brandon Richardson, who was a great prospect for us in year number 1, is going to be on the bench. And it just hit me. If I wanted somebody like Okafor to improve his three-point shot, I can set him to focus on training it every single week. Now, it's a bit annoying. If I wanted him to focus on this all year, I'd have to manually go through and do it for every single one. So I might be a bit lazy with it, but I'm going to try my best to go after one 4-star once again. It's probably not going to work out, but we only have one scholarship to spend, and worst case scenario, I'll just give it to this kid from Lithuania. All I know is we need a point guard, but Ball State's gonna get this kid, and then for Arthur Hart, the kid I offered a scholarship to, this school jumped out of nowhere. I think what it comes back to, though, is they're recruiting inside their state, and if I look at Kentucky, I'm gonna find a Mr. Basketball. I said I'd do that. The only problem is by the time I would even start going after him, he's almost fully committed to UAB and Western. So I feel like I don't have much to look forward to in recruiting. We started the year losing to Harvard, and I thought we were gonna be a lot better because we're up to a 77 overall. I guess the one thing I still have to consider, though, is game experience and team unity. All of this stuff is low for us. Players aren't confident. Okafor has very low awareness, and we honestly need to get more people into Johnson Arena. It's only 42% full. We could get 6,500 kids in there. Imagine a student section like that. We would certainly not be losing as many times as we already have. And there it is. What I'm expecting is the 2 guys that we started going after are going to sign to other schools. So no 4 stars for us here at Morehead State. It's still not happening, but we did have our backup option, and this is why. Now I have to realize there's going to be players that want to transfer out because they're not on the court enough. 16 minutes per game isn't enough for Chris. Our small forward is at 24% confidence. I'm going to give him a pep talk. But I think what we're going to go through every single season is losing multiple players to the portal. At least as we simulate through most of this season, we seem to be picking up a lot more wins. We're currently at 11-8. We are going to go to 12-8. And not only are we projected to make the Ohio Valley tournament, we're projected to be the 1 seed right now. Samford is tied with us with 3 losses, though. There's just no chance that we could miss it. We'd have to go on an extremely bad losing streak to end the year for that to happen, and it isn't. So even if we've lost a few matchups, all is good. We are going to finish above 500. Both of our Cristianos are unhappy, though. They've come over here internationally. They've not gotten the playing time that they want. And I tried to use all my pep talks throughout the year to keep them around, but I have no more left to spend, and they're not going to stay. They're just going to be missing out on one of the best teams in the Ohio Valley Conference, though. We still have not clinched the 1 seed with 2 games left. But if you take a look at our report card, you're going to see why we're succeeding. Our defense efficiency is a grade A. It's 2nd in the conference, 41st nationally. And it's actually our offense holding us back at 67 points per game, being below the national average. I'm trying to find team unity, though, because that makes a difference. It seems like ours has gotten better. But without the game experience, I'm not sure how we're going to do in our conference tournament. I vividly remember what happened last year. I'm hoping the same doesn't. We're going to get Tennessee Martin, not Tennessee Tech. But of course, that's the program that's leading our conference in points per game. Throughout my coaching career so far, though, our offense has been the issue. Melissa's leading us with almost 16 points per game, which is a nice change of pace, but we still have not seen any explosive 20, 25 point per game score. And it's time to see if we can even get past the first round. We're about to face a 10-16 team. If I can't win this, I'm not going to win anything, which is pretty scary. Going through the layup lanes right here, I want to see someone throw it down. I don't want to just see layups out of these guys. Come on. We still have a young lineup out there on the court. I need to see some confidence out of them winning this tip-off. And I've decided I'm going to work it down low or throw it straight to them. We are not starting off with transition points in this. Sure enough, they ended up getting 2, but we're going to run down the court and dunk it with Aaron Allen. So the international stud is showing up, and they're already throwing up 3s. I will continue to go with Allen, though. If he is going to break teams down, not draw a foul. And then on the other end, guess who got to go to the free throw line? Thankfully, it's not going to be the end of the world. They just keep calling us for stuff. And I can tell the refs want to see an upset like anyone else does. It's okay, though. We're the higher seed for a reason. We have backed them down, and we're going to hit them with the hook. So there it is. There's our offense for this game. They're not going to get a foul called on that one. And running down the court, I've decided we need to set up for a 3-point shot, which Okafor is going to put up and miss. I really wish I could say that we had some 3-point shooters out there, but you know what won us games this season? Our defense, and we missed the dunk in transition. I'm sorry, but freshman Okafor slamming that down, we got crossed up. And Tennessee Martin might not be going anywhere. They're just throwing it right behind us. I thought this was going to be a little bit easier. Our drives aren't working, though we grabbed the rebound. I like the effort, and I kind of went away from what I wanted to do in this game, but if they're going to give us 3s, I'm going to take it. That was actually a really good way to end this first half, assuming they don't respond back. And out in transition with 7 seconds left, 6, 5, we got to get off another basket. I'm trying to at least get something up, which we did, even if it wasn't a drive like I thought it would be. Maybe the key to success is just putting up more shots. And from what I saw in that first half, it doesn't matter if there's a dude in your face, though you won't hit it every time. Now they're trying to run it down the court, get it back within a possession. I don't even know where they're throwing it. But we are trusting our defense and the fact that they just can't shoot. Now Aaron Allen's an interesting player. He's a bit shorter. He had a good start to this game. I'm not sure what his 3-point shot's looking like, but it can't hurt us to throw one up anyway. And I really need to figure out how to call plays at some point on this game, because we can't just keep on hoping that jumping up, getting open looks like this is going to work. It's out. We grab the rebound. Childs is somehow blocked. It's all good though. Maybe the freshman power forward can shoot free throws. I know I haven't had much success with it. And this is back in a time where perfect releases were not green on 2K. I love how the Ohio Valley Conference doesn't even put their own branding on the court either. They just said the whole tournament's going to be on Tennessee's court and nobody's going to be able to tell what it's for. Now with this little kid cherry picking, it's a 4-point game. But I think Okafor is going to have a look that he hits off the top of the backboard. Now is not the time to choke, especially since we're going to have to shoot free throws. What are we doing leaving him open? That could have been a major problem. I have finally figured out the buttons to pass it to whoever I want to on the court. This is going to be an open jump shot, and they've run it down the court. They're working it down low. There's no way that hook could have been their best option. How did he get the board? That ref also needs to get that whistle out of his mouth. He pre-fired the blow. We did not lay a hand on that kid. He just assumed we were going to foul him, and they got a free throw out of it, but now they're trying to chase us around the court, and we might as well take this open shot. Please hit it. I feel like we had a better chance at drilling that other than hitting a free throw, though it's a 2-point game. That was not the right decision. They're going to foul us for a bit longer, assuming we get the inbounds in. And because I'm playing on shorter halves, I set it to 4 fouls to start being in the bonus, then 7 for the double bonus. We're missing. This is actually a generational choke. They have an open guard outside the 3-point line. Do not let this kid get off a 3-pointer. And here we go. They're pump faking in our face. 7 seconds left now. They're not going for the tie. They're going for the drive. I'm jumping up. Do not get a shot off. Is that a foul? Are you serious? We just lost this game, and he made the 3-point shot anyway. It doesn't matter what happens here. I'm ready to call that timeout. But this is how our season's going to end. We have gotten it to half court. Now, I don't know how to switch to another player, so we're just going to have to hope that this shot goes in. Put it up. It is off. I really don't want to talk about it. That should have been the year where we at least made it to the semifinals. Don't show me this. I am starting to realize that in my coaching career, I have yet to win a game that I have at least been a part of. Tennessee Martin went on to almost win the entire tournament. Instead, it was Austin Peay. And honestly, I was super upset, but then I saw that we were selected for the NIT tournament. If we get past BYU, then we'd have to play California, which I know we're probably not going to do. I mean, it would be hard to win the entire thing, especially since they are an 84 overall. I'm going to simulate this one with Hoopcast, though, see who comes out on top. And I was hoping to coach us to victory, but we're down by 13 with about 10 minutes left. Not much is changing. So at the end of the game, we're going to lose this one 70-59. And the BYU team that took us down beat California, they beat Northwestern, and then they lost to Rhode Island, so they weren't able to win the entire thing, but they had a deep run in the NIT. As for Austin Peay, they're the 16 seed. Once again, Michigan State took them down with no issue. Florida's in the national championship for the 2nd year in a row, but they were not able to take down Arizona, who had a 90 overall small forward. For the 3rd year in a row, player of the year is center, so I'm assuming if we can find a good center, which we have at the moment, we're going to have success. And inside the Ohio Valley Conference, we were the regular season conference champions. They can't take that away from us, but we haven't won coach of the year. And we still haven't had a conference player of the year. I'm hoping it comes at some point. I'm sick of just getting conference freshman of the year. We did finally put somebody on the 2nd team all conference, though. It is Melissa. And these 2 transfers hurt a little bit more. Higher overalls. We've also lost our first recruit ever, Brandon Richardson. But look at this steady progression. We went from 6-20 4 years ago to now being 18-13 in the NIT. It's going to give us 3 attributes to boost up, and it's got to be teaching. This affects player development. But I'm very curious what job offers I might get since we finished first in our conference, Boise State. Now, I'm almost certain they don't have a blue court in basketball. They went 7-22, but their roster is pretty similar to ours. And the WAC is considered a mid-major. It's the 10th best conference, so that could help in recruiting. Their arena is also twice the size of what we have at Morehead State. But here's the thing. This is my coaching career, and I'm not sure I'd ever want to relocate and live in Boise, Idaho. This is a really hard spot to be in because some of these other schools could also offer us a job, but then again, Boise State's going to be the biggest that we get. And I didn't realize this was possible for college basketball, but there's actually independent schools like Texas Pan American. It's either a school like that or Boise State, and the only reason I'm not accepting this right now is because I think next year's team at Morehead State will be better than what they have. I'm honestly flattered that I'm going to get to decline a bunch of job offers. All of these schools want me, but I'm just going to keep on saying no. And I think if I'm getting interest like that, I might have a better assistant coach I can find. So we're going to get rid of Greenleaf and keep Liberty since he is B- on defense. I've been handling all the recruiting, so I need to get guys like Gwyn who are going to give us a boost to our offense and defense. But that new hire did not entice anybody to want to transfer here. This also shows how far we have to go. Michigan State lost this transfer to Akron because he was barely getting on the court, but he's an 84 overall. I would love to be able to bring in a player like that. We know that if we do sign this international point guard, he's only going to be about a of 70. And for the first time ever, I might regret saying this, but I feel like I have a real shot at landing a 4-star prospect. Jeremiah Goodson is the 93rd best player in the class with no other scholarship offers. As time goes on, teams are dropping out of interest, and the same is true for Irwin, another 4-star. I need at least one of them to sign with us, because if we go up to the point guard that we've been targeting from Lithuania, Villanova came out of nowhere, and I guarantee he'd rather walk on there than sign with us. After another week, you're going to see for junior Hal Irwin, it's between 2 schools, though they've not offered him a scholarship. I'm sure he'll still choose them. And then for Goodson, we're in the lead, but I'm not sure if we're going to fill up that meter before the end of the period. We haven't gotten the option for him to visit our campus yet. There's only 1 week left in recruiting. But look at this. Hal Irwin has signed with Moorhead. We got a 4-star. That's not the only good news either. Jeremiah Goodson, we're the only school left recruiting him. All we have to do is invite him to campus, hope that he doesn't hate Moorhead State's small campus, and that should be enough to make our class even better. We even got the international point guard that will now never see the court. Or maybe he still can. I thought Goodson was a point guard. Look at this class though. This is perfect after we just signed a bunch of big guys last year. I did not see this coming, but if you just search by schools that have signed 4-star prospects, 2 or more of them, we are up here with a bunch of Power 4 programs. And I'm not sure whose idea it was to put Kentucky on our schedule, but we are going to get blasted. I didn't remove it though. I still haven't touched on the ABL. I just sim it every season. And as we go into season number 5, I just don't want Austin Peay to get a 3-peat in the conference tournament. It looks like they're literally going to have to start a 57 overall on their roster, so they shouldn't. But here's the thing. Since we signed a couple 4-star prospects, they have to immediately start for us, and they're going to have no game experience, which is just going to hurt. Looking at this roster right now, Jeremiah Goodson has got to start at shooting guard for us. I might even move Jerry Okafor back to point guard, because that's where most of his stats seem to have developed, so this could give him a boost in overall. It did not though. It dropped him below Aaron Allen, so I'm actually going to redshirt him so we could have him for another year. Even if I don't stick around, it'll make Moorhead State better in the long run. And I forgot how Irwin came in as a JUCO 4-star, so he's going to be a 76 overall, the highest that we have found yet, which just hurts Armin Torres, another player that might get redshirted. I really don't want to lose 2 of our players to the transfer portal again, but it might happen, and to my surprise, there are some 4-stars with medium interest of playing for Moorhead State. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to target them because it's a losing battle, but with Bernie Wente, this kid has A- potential. He is just a 3-star. I'm hoping that not many schools are going after him, but even if they are, I'm still going to see if we can land him. We have 3 scholarships to work with, and I have to say, I'm a bit disappointed. Some of these 3-stars we've been going after for a couple years now are dropping down to 2-stars. I'm getting rid of them. And for all these players, even though I've been calling them every week, sending them an email every week, we aren't even in their top 5. In my opinion, it's cool that we can see freshman prospects out there, but it's a waste of time to recruit them. After a few weeks of going after some 3-stars, I think we're going to get this JUCO freshman, a 7-1 center. We have him on a visit after we play Kentucky. And then Bernie Wente, we've jumped up to number 1 on as well. He's a 6'5 shooting guard, 137th in the country. Those are some solid stats. Taking a look at our overall, Kentucky's an 88. We are just an 80. And I'm very curious to see what coach game is. I have yet to do this. It might actually make us play. Welcome to coach mode, where you are the boss. See and feel the game as any coach would. Look and move to get a vantage point view. So is this just going to allow us to look from the sideline? I can't believe I've never used this feature, but they're running out here at Rupp Arena. We had to visit this stadium at some point. They put the game on the schedule. And I can see what this is now. It's like a POV of actually being a coach. We watch as we put up 3s and miss. Now I'm trying to figure out what I can do. This camera is super wonky. I am very, very confused. Another 3 goes up, and I'm able to change up our defense, so now we're in a 2-3 zone, but there is no way I could play through a full game like this. We are literally just going to simulate to the end. It was so confusing what was even happening. I'm hoping that we won, but I'm assuming we didn't. We lost by 9, which would normally bug me, but I don't really care because we're still in first place for both of these prospects. By now, I don't even know why Wilson Scott is still on our board. I guess I could keep him around and in the loop by phoning him a bit. And this is pretty exciting because for the first time, I'm spending all my points in a week in recruiting. I always found it hard to get through them all. We are not winning as many games as I was hoping we would though. And this first conference game against Samford's pretty important. We ended up taking them down while also getting Bernie Wente to sign with Moorhead. By the end of the week, we'd also picked up the JUCO center Dwight Lufkin, so I'm starting to realize the 3-stars are going to be easier for us to sign now. The 4-stars will be challenging. And if we're playing well, then I don't need to use pep talks to make our players perform better. I need to use them to keep around players that might want to transfer. Who would have thought that as we get better, everything else becomes much easier? We're dominating conference play. Like, we're winning every game. And I wasn't kidding. We are currently 8-0, 12-6 overall record. This is about the midway point through the year. I'm expecting us to be the 1 seed in the tournament again. And with that in mind, I need to be careful with Wilson Scott. He is our final scholarship for the year, but I will pull that away if we have a chance to sign 4 stars after having a successful season. I mean, that's got to be what's making the difference. Hall Irwin is the first player we've had with the 3-point ability since that one dude that's a low overall, Penninger, that I just sub in for 3s. And statistically, Piotr Melisa has taken a massive step forward as a center, averaging almost 20 points per game. He could win Conference Player of the Year. It really stinks that after this season, he's going to graduate. I should probably target a 4-star center after the year. And imagine how much better we'd be doing if the game experience bars were filled up. Our team unity's up to 4 out of 6 for the first time. And our defense efficiency grade is at an A+, the best in the conference, 15th nationally, but if you look at our offense grade, it's also gone above the national average. I thought I'd have no issues simming through the rest of the season getting to the conference tournament, but we went on a 3-game losing streak, which is going to affect us a little bit. But I can only assume that happened because of some injuries, because we've gone back to winning. As we get through the final last games, we're going to lose a couple of them. But with the smart use of pep talks, we still have one left where we can actually start spending it on our starting lineup. You're going to see none of our main players want to transfer. And we have the 1 seed in the conference tournament, finishing at 15-5. So after starting 8-0, we went like 7-5 in conference play, but that's still solid. Some of the teams at the bottom of the conference that are missing out include Murray State, who just lost like an 85 overall that was a senior. And our first conference tournament game is against Eastern Illinois. They went 7-19. So if I end up losing this one by playing it, I'm going to be so disappointed. Now they might be like a 62 overall, but this is going to be my first game of the day. And here we go. Morehead State isn't even winning the tip-off. Not a great way to open things up. One thing I have noticed on here is I struggle to get steals like I did on NCAA Basketball 10. I was much better at defense on that one. But it looks like we're already having a chance to run it down the court. That was a great pass, and we put it in. Aaron Allen's one of my favorite prospects I was able to find. Little pump fake is going to lead to them scoring too. And I know it's super early, but nobody's shown any signs of pulling away yet. I think I'm just going to go ahead and rip this one in this dude's face. If that goes in, it'd be perfect. And that's our freshman shooting guard just going to work, though they also had a look at 3. Now, it might not seem like it, especially because he can't dribble that well, but Hal Irwin is the best 3-point shooter on this roster, so I might just throw up another for fun. It could bounce in. And some of these looks have been super rough. We had a hand in his face, though, so we're going to get it back. I feel like we're better off just feeding our center right here. Let him go for his little hook shot. And I can't be playing scared against a team as bad as Eastern Illinois is. They're the 8 seed in this tournament for a reason, though the traps are not going well. They also have tried to full court press us. Not sure what they thought that they were going to get out of that, but we're having open 3s. And I'm trying to get a 2-for-1 as we end this first half, so I'm just throwing up another. Back in the day, though, the shot clock was 35 seconds, so I didn't get that up in time. And with it turned off, they've just held the ball for a while. About 5 seconds left in the half now. That was a great pick, and it's gonna fall. Either way, though, I'm happy being up by 6. And we can continue to build on this lead to open up the second half, as we're gonna make them think we were putting it up the first time and hit it the second. All it took for us to have some true shooters out there on the court was getting some 4-stars into the program. I don't know why they're giving us these looks. Melisa as a center is still dominating, grabbing another board. He can't put it in. But I trust the senior. At this point in his career, he should be able to hit his free throws. There needs to be a meter here or something. Maybe I'm missing it on the screen. We're going to get a perfect release. And the longer this one goes on for, the better I'm feeling about our odds. Being up by 10 with 3 minutes left, they're going to have to start hitting some 3s, which they've done. And I know from last season, we cannot be guaranteed to win from this point. We're going to have to keep putting things in, and we do. We have a team full of players that experienced a heartbreaking loss last year. I'm hoping it sticks with them. But maybe it isn't. This one still is not over. I'm trying to draw a foul at least. And here we go. Up by 5, minute left on the clock. We have an open shot that they're not going to hit. And I can't believe that we just gave that up right there, but now we need to run through the clock. At some point, they have got to start fouling. I'm not sure why they haven't already. We could take an open 3, but I'm still waiting for the foul. And since the shot clock's down to 7 seconds, they might actually not foul us in time, which I wasn't prepared for, so we're going to have to go for a fadeaway shot that we're never hitting. We should be okay, though. If we make sure Eastern Illinois does not get a 3-pointer right here, they can't come back. They're not going to. And by now, the game should be over, but I'd feel much better if we hit a couple free throws. Oh, we got the rebound. Even better. Every single one of these players have a different release, so I'm having to learn it for each one of them. And fortunately, I've shot with Melisa before. He is still hitting. Will we win the conference championship with Morehead State in my 5th season as the head coach? I still can't tell, but we have moved on to the next round. It feels good to see player of the game, and it's one of our players, Hal Irwin, the JUCO 4-star. But I'm a little bit nervous about our next opponent. It's not going to be Eastern Kentucky. It's Austin Peay, who has won the last 2 tournaments. They have a senior shooting guard, Rayshawn Dooley, I'm very concerned about. I'm pretty sure that's the player that's won back-to-back Conference Player of the Year awards. But never mind, it's actually Chadwick, who played for Jacksonville State on another red squad. school. Either way though, that guard has carried this team to multiple conference championships. I wanted to wear the blue jerseys for a change, but they're in their red jerseys. I thought I was just going to switch them over to the whites. But it's fine. There's plenty of contrast there. We can tell who is on whose team, and we're getting a good look early on. It rimmed out though, unfortunately. We've swatted their best player, and after over a minute of playing, nobody has put it in the hoop yet, but if we work it around for long enough, one of these has got to fall. I'll take a foul call as well. Not sure if it was actually a foul, but we'll hit these. At least I assumed we would. We only got one of them, and they're just running in transition. I don't love the start that we've gotten in this one, but we could tie things right back up. Except that didn't happen either. Also, how are they getting open looks like this? I mean, we're very fortunate that they're not hitting. We should be able to finish this drive. But they immediately responded, and Goodson, left open, misses his three. We clearly did not come to shoot well in this one. They did. And now they're going to try and hit us with a press. We're getting that dish out, running the court, and hopefully slamming it in. I mean, I can take a goaltending call and be okay with it, but I would have preferred the momentum from the dunk. And we know what Pennegar is in the game for, to hit these threes. He's the greatest sub we could have out there on the court. They immediately called a timeout to get him out of there. But I'm not budging. Even if he isn't that great at much, he needs to be out there for a little bit longer. And that's because after getting this rebound, you know that we're going to run the court and let him throw up one more that we're not going to hit, but we're going to get the rebound on. Just like that, we have our first lead of the game on Austin Peay. It was a 1-point lead, but it didn't last long, and I don't think they're going to let us get a shot off before the end of the half. Little bit of a rough finish there. We're not shooting great. They aren't either, though. And I think it's time that we get our offensive tempo up extremely high. I put our pressure level up, too. I'm hoping that prevents them from getting all these open looks that they've been having, though they still got one on their first possession. And we're literally just giving them way too much space. That's the main issue we're struggling with. As a coach, though, I can only do so much. I made the adjustment. I think we actually switched to a 2-3 zone. And I'm not going to lie, we just got bailed out by the over-the-back call. Now we're going for the lead. All right, on this possession, we switch back to man-to-man. But it was man-to-man with a ton of space to shoot. And I don't understand what I need to do to prevent that from happening. Please give us the lead. Hal Irwin's not helping us at all. I don't like being in this position, but we're going to have to keep on putting shots up, and we are short. This is not good. We're down by 4 with 2.5 minutes left. They're going to have a cutter that puts it in. And I'm starting to panic. If we can't hit a shot like this, we're in trouble. It's literally over. We're not going to win the conference tournament. They got a foul call there. And before next season, I'm going to take time to learn offense on this game. I don't know if I need to watch some YouTube tutorials or what, but that is not working. And if I'm being real, on NCAA Basketball 10, that's all I'd have to do to have success, but they're clearly going to guard the three-point line. All of our dudes are called. Put in 2 gets us within 6. And I'm starting to wonder how they have somebody just open on the other end of the court. We got back in time. Hang on. If we run things right here and put up a 3 or something, we might actually not be out of this one yet. But they have been guarding the 3-point line, except Hal Irwin. They know he's going to miss. He's like 1 for 8 at this point. This game is over. And I thought my career was going to go a little bit differently than it has. We can still intentionally foul and see if they miss. But we're not winning this conference tournament unless we get lucky. Sending a shooter to the line was not the best of ideas. Hal Irwin, go ahead. Miss yourself one more. And at the end of the day, we're going to lose by 7. Moving on to the conference championship game, look at this. Austin Peay, once again, 3 times in a row has won the Ohio Valley Conference. But I'm a hater. I'm not okay with this. I don't want to be in the NIT. Our first round game's against Utah, who's just going to take us down. And it's so crazy to me that they're an 87 overall in the Mountain West Conference. This is before they were in the Pac-12. We're going to sim to the end, lose by 25. And just accept that wasn't a great matchup for us. They lost in the next round. At the end of the NIT, Arizona won the entire thing. And sure enough, where is our favorite 16 seed? Austin Peay was never beaten Texas. The national championship has somehow ended up being between Michigan and Michigan State. And it's the Wolverines that won the entire thing, but I saw an achievement pop up that I'm super excited about. We know that we were regular season conference champions. I also won Coach of the Year though, and on top of that, Melissa was Player of the Year in our conference. Tennessee Tech had the Freshman of the Year, first team all-conference. We finally have somebody that is a part of it. And don't forget, we still have Aaron Allen and Hal Irwin for another year after this one. It's nice to see nobody has transferred out either, though Pettigrew is a hard loss for us. He was a great shooter. And I can see our success is starting to flatline, so I'm wondering if I should stick at Morehead State for another year or accept a better job. I would like to think that we're about to have another really solid year. I'm making sure our teaching is up to an A+. But if one of these bigger schools throws me the bag, I'm not sure I can say no. The best job offer I've gotten so far is Portland though. Their roster is very similar to ours. They don't have much youth besides sophomores, so I think I'm gonna have to decline it, especially if I didn't take Boise State last year, and everybody under this is also gonna offer me a job most likely. I know that I'm not gonna accept any of them, but I have gone through and declined like 20 jobs just so I can point this one out. Murray State wants to hire me. That is hilarious. They think I'd go to somewhere else in the Ohio Valley Conference for a team that's much worse in this state. But I guess it can't hurt to shoot your shot, and we have an option to get better assistants, so I'm going to release both of the ones that have been with us the entire time. Was it the right thing to do? Maybe not, but I have found two guys under 36. Johnny Hubbard is my favorite of the two. He is A ambition, so he's going to have high potential. His coaching grades on offense and defense are good. And then the other assistant is Lynn Murray, who looks much older than 36. As we do better, I'm sure I'll replace them again. I am a bit surprised that nobody's wanted to transfer here yet, but I normally do a pretty good job at filling up our recruiting class, and you might notice there's 2 4-stars on our target list now that I would both like to get, but I can only pick between one of them. It's between a point guard and a center. What it means for Wilson Scott, though, is that scholarship I offered him is just getting yanked. And originally, I decided that we should just give it to the center, but since those schools have a bigger lead, we're going to go after the point guard from Texas. I'm not sure if it's going to end up being the right decision because a week after, Oregon was the only other team going after Rasheed Collins, while on Ronnie Weathers, Tennessee is up at the top. But I'm just going to keep on doing everything I can to get him to sign. And worst case scenario, if we still want to pull out last second, we can get Wilson Scott, the 3-star point guard. Whenever it comes to making a final decision though, we know that we have that 3-star locked up. We know that Hollins, we are probably not going to make up 40% ground on. And then with Weathers, we're in first place. I'm going to invite him to campus and leave the scholarship hoping that he commits, which is exactly what ended up happening. I might regret that though, because it just hit me. The players that have been having the most success in this entire game have been centers. And I just have to hope Ronnie Weathers meshes well with the team because he's going to start as a freshman as our 4th highest overall player. I also really need Chris's overall to go up whenever we move him to center, which it didn't. It stayed at a 73, but he's going to be starting there for us even though he's only 6'8". I thought Benny Potter might progress better. He isn't ready to start as a redshirt sophomore though. Maybe next season. And taking a look at this lineup, I am a little bit sad that Aaron Allen as a senior is going to have to be our 6th man off of the bench, but he's just not good enough to be the starter. He really has done us well. Last year he averaged 6.2 assists per game. But I think even as a freshman, Ronnie Weathers is going to come in being that 4-star recruit and be a better player. I know that team unity and game experience matters on this game, so I could be learning a hard lesson here. But I guess we'll just have to find out. This is the highest overall team we've ever had at 82. I'm also being more bold than ever with our recruiting tactics. I'm going after 2 4-star guards. Not that we even need them anytime soon. We'll see if we're able to beat out either of these schools up top. But I don't see that happening, and we're even struggling for a 3-star center. I feel like the best recruiting period is the one after the season, especially if you have a pretty good year. That's where I've been getting the 4-stars. We destroyed UMBC. And guess what? Our new center that's only 6'8" had the most points with 24. I think I've learned my lesson. Center's the position we're going to focus on. And for whatever reason, we play UT Arlington at home and on the road in a week span, which is so odd. We beat them pretty easily the first time though, so I'm sure the second time's going to be no different. I already know we're not going to get this shooting guard. We can't catch up before signing day, but we do have a chance at getting the point guard. Assuming we fail with that though, I'm just going to have to wait until the offseason to start recruiting. Tolik has signed with someone else, and so has our #1 target. I literally just wasted a bunch of our recruiting points going 0 for 3. That's embarrassing. And what's crazy is I'd normally start working on a backup plan, but I'm not doing it because I'm planning on leaving Morehead State after this year. If I don't get some incredible recruits, they're giving me no reason to stick around. And I feel bad. Aaron Allen is unhappy. So is Armin Torres, who used to be out on the court all the time. It's hard to put him out there though whenever we have Valdez Green, who's a younger player and the same overall. And he's a part of a winning program. We're currently 8-0. We still have not lost a game. And I'm expecting it to come at some point, but it still hasn't. We're 15-0. We could be 16-0, which we are. And this is insane. We're not just beating teams in our conference, we're doubling the score. We're literally carrying the Ohio Valley Conference on our back because if you look at every other team in it, they are all below 500. It's embarrassing. And I think we could literally go undefeated, but not get an at-large bid to the tournament because our RPI is only 77. We might have one of the most efficient offenses and defenses in the country, but we've played nobody with an RPI under 200 this entire year. And do you know who cares? Not me, because for the first time in my career, I have more wins than losses. This is literally just going to make it so easy to get better job opportunities. I'm thinking that we could even move up to a Power 4 school if we keep this up. But surely, somebody's going to be the team to do it. Somebody's going to be the team that beats us. I guess I really didn't realize how solid we were versus the rest of the Ohio Valley. And this is it right here. The final stretch. Are we going to go 26-0? We do. And I see that we're ranked, though we fell out again. In the final couple weeks of the year, it popped up an achievement that we did get ranked, though I don't see us in any of these. The mid-major poll, we gotta be up here at the top. But 24-2 Buffalo's ahead of us, probably because their roster's better than ours. They have an 87 overall small forward, and their RPI is currently at 9, so they could lose the MAC and they'd still make the tournament. Meanwhile, over here at Morehead State, our RPI is 54. And it turns out, even without the game experience, putting Weathers out there as a freshman was the right move. The good thing about me upgrading my training stuff is our players are progressing faster, though I don't love that Teddy Childs is injured. The former Mr. Basketball player from South Dakota might miss part of the conference tournament. I feel like I should be able to trust this team to make it to the championship though before I even play a game, because I feel like if I step in, I'm gonna lose something I shouldn't. And I really wasn't expecting senior Chris Ngou to be our leading scorer as our center. I just moved him over there, but he's dominated. With our first opponent being 9-17 Murray State, there shouldn't be anything to worry about. But you never know what could happen. We're just gonna simulate the entire thing, and we won by 12. That's a little bit scary, but you have to think, we handled all of these teams throughout the season. We're undefeated. And on the other side of the bracket, Austin Peay lost to Samford, so we'd get to play them in the conference championship. That is such a huge relief. We still have to get past Tennessee State first, though. And I do wish this Simcast system was a little bit better. It pops up a bunch of timeouts if I wanted to go play-by-play. It takes forever to get to the end, so we're just gonna jump there, win by 22, and enjoy our spot in the top 25. We have been ranked. It took a bit, but we're there. Whenever you compare that to Buffalo, though, they get to sit up at number 6. They're close to getting a 1 seed. But the MAC is a little bit of a harder conference, and they have a lot of games against teams with higher RPIs. This is it right here. Surely I won't mess this one up. It's literally been everything I've been working for this entire video, though we should be a lock for the tournament either way if we're projected to be a 6 seed. With an RPI 55, we're not on bubble watch, probably because they project us to win our tournament. But I just can't imagine one loss out of 29 games being what keeps us out. It's very stressful to think about. There is more pressure on this game for Morehead State than any other game in school history. And I'm just imagining the big Power 4 jobs I could get if we are able to win this game, though I just thought about it. There's more than a Power 4, especially back in like 2008. We all know it's before the Pac-12 broke apart. There's also the Big East. We have not been able to score in this game yet. And this is the slow start that caused us to lose last year, though they're blowing layups. They're looking like me whenever I run at the park. I'm hoping that Goodson can get us on the board. He does not. And this is my fault for not figuring out how to call plays before going into this game. I said I was going to, and I didn't. To think that we have played half of this half and nobody scored is kind of funny, though we created separation. And Dennis just crossed us up. He goes up strong and they called a foul. If Samford actually beats us, that is going to be a major problem. I think Okafor can hit though. He did back when we had him out there as a freshman. I'm gonna give him another shot. I know we've only put up a bunch of threes, but I wanted things to be tied up. And what type of defense was he playing? This is really going rough for us, though. If he responds back, I can't care too much. And I know I'm the problem. The difficulty is not going to get any easier, though. It is staying on this throughout my entire career. Come on. Before I film episode 2, I'm going to be reading the comments, trying to figure out what I can do differently. That worked well. And we might have high enough overall players where we can actually get away with passes like that. I know that we couldn't whenever I started filming. In the first couple seasons, it was like every other pass was a turnover. So it has me scared to pass the ball when I probably shouldn't be. We just need players to cut down low. We might also have a tied 3-point shot. I mean, they left Weathers so open. So as long as we don't give up points to end this first half, we're going to be tied up, though Goodson might have just come up with the clutch block. We're going for the lay, and we have a lead. That is how you finish much stronger than you started. And these cheerleaders need to get off the court. We're trying to throw this ball in. They're delaying the inevitable. Samford's loss. I feel confident to throw up some more. But I'm not sure I can trust Hal Irwin anymore. I do like how we're able to post them up here, dish it out to Goodson, and he comes up clutch. Even with a much better, much faster team, it seems like playing smarter, not trying to run the court, has helped us out greatly. And we'll see if Goodson can hit another 3-point shot. I know exactly where I'm going. The corner is his. It might be too early of a 2K game for there to be certain hot spots on the court, but I feel like he has one over there. I don't think they're going to come back. But it's not like it's going to take much. They've scored on their last 2 possessions. That's the thing about playing on shorter quarters. Stuff like that can happen. There's no way that he hits again for us. We grabbed the rebound though, and that's our best player missing. Chris has done a better job down low than I thought he would for being an undersized center. But in controlling him, hoping that we could get the rebound there, we just gave up a 3-pointer. It's a 1-point game. They're swatting us. Samford's running the court right now. Things are not looking good. Minute and a half left. And this is probably where I need to call a timeout. You can see the 6th man is kicking in. We got to at least contest that. And of course, we don't get the rebound after I complimented our rebounding. I don't know how we find ourselves in this position. They got a hand in our face. And then they went down the court, scoring another 2. I'm not sure why I'm rushing things. We shouldn't be panicking the way that I am right now. But I might just have to throw up another 3. Come on! The confidence was there. Everything just shifted in our favor. But that only tied things up. There's still 30 seconds left, and we cannot give up a bucket on this possession. They've been able to get some open shooters recently. I'm thinking that we're playing a box and one right now. Not sure why. They hit again. And here we go. Pressure is on. There is no way that we don't win the conference tournament once again. I made it my goal in this video to win a conference championship. And right now it's looking like overtime's around the corner. They better not hit this. We swatted away. No foul, we're good. Whenever he stopped moving, my heart dropped. I thought that was it right there. I thought we fouled them and they were going to get free throws to end the game. Starting overtime off though, we have the ball. And this is just 3 minutes of what team is going to be better. Great backdoor cut, there's the foul. Goodson has been very good for us. Perfect release on the free throw. And if there is any kid out there on the court that I trust right now, it's got to be him. If I end up accepting a new job offer like I'm planning on doing, he's going to be the one guy I wish would transfer over. And I'm going to see if he can get us a 3 right here. He's just almost thrown it out of bounds. It's okay though. And we're going to step up, see that he is still open, and he's going to drill it. I have figured it out as well. I have figured out how to call plays, which is great. But I see someone open. Come on. Don't tell me Goodson's going to get another 3. That was it right there. I figured out the offensive plays when trying to get us back to man. We're switching over to it. And I trust this defense more than anything else. They've been getting way too many open shots, though I got stuck on a player. With 1.5 minutes left, things are tied up. They are going to give us another look, though. And I am so scared right now. I am playing off ball against the computer, which they're going to get the shot up and miss. Okay, with 1 minute left, we're up by 3. I don't care that how Irwin was open for a second. We know this kid can't shoot. And if there's one player I want to have his chance to give us a 2-possession lead here, it's Goodson. I have him in ISO. We're going to see if he can cross up, draw a lot of attention, and miss. Which means that was probably not the smart move. I also didn't throw the ball in time, apparently. And that's because I was trying to get it into Goodson, knowing that I just hit free throws with him. They better not take the lead. We're fine. We're fine. Okay, I figured out how to switch players. Goodson is going to get these shots for us, and he's also able to dribble out some clock before we're getting fouled. I mean, this is a lot of time. And I don't think anybody's on this end of the court trying to stop him. We might be able to dribble out the rest of the clock because he is fast enough to continue to run around, and this is it. This is it right here. Throw up a shot. Okay, unfortunately, there was 0.6 seconds left on the clock, but we're going to be fine. He hit both his free throws. I'm not even going to try to block this shot. If it goes in, we'll play double overtime. I would have been so upset. Thankfully, they did miss. Goodson had 21 points. I mean, he had the performance of his career. He hit so many threes. And do you know how excited I am to go into this Selection Sunday show, knowing that we're going into the tournament at 29-0? We're undefeated. I feel like at some point they've got to mention that. We're the only undefeated team in the country, though they couldn't even rank us inside the top 20. And I wonder which part of the bracket we're going to end up on. It turns out we're going to be a 7 seed, but we're playing UAB in the first round. That's perfectly fine with me. That's a great draw. Texas would be after that. And it's the East Regional with USC, Missouri, and Connecticut being some of the other high seeds in our region. If you're curious what the top 10 conferences are on this file, it's these. And Boise State just missed the tournament, though they went 21-8. I could have taken them over. It might have been a bad mistake on my part not going for that job offer. I'm really hoping that Texas gets upset because I think we can get past UAB. Looking at some of the other teams in our region though, I mean, there's so many good programs. And all of a sudden, all my confidence is gone because the Blazers are an 88 overall. I just discovered this screen as well. It allows us to compare ourselves to them. Our RPIs are similar. They scored just as many points per game as us. But like expected, their roster's a lot better on paper, so it's a good thing their best player's injured, and they have so many players from Tennessee. We got to start recruiting out of there. That's one thing I haven't really done is focusing on regional recruiting. I've just been open to pulling in dudes from international countries. I don't care where they're from. And this first round game started with them getting an early 2, though I'm going to be looking for 3-point shots, and bad passes like that are going to hurt. Now that we're facing teams that are actually higher overalls, I'm afraid that I'm about to get blown out. And we should not feel like the underdog here, though that was a good cut, and we put it in his face. Literally every inch of him just suffocated that dude as we threw it down, though they're going to have a shot at 3. And it's hard to be too excited when they're just going to score a bunch. Though, Goodson, open 3-point shot. He misses, though we grab the board. Come on, at least get it back within 2. How on earth did we still score? That works for me, though once again, that kid should not be getting those looks at 3. And I'm going to have to figure that out defensively. It is really bugging me how everybody just gets open to shoot. And I don't know why. we can't hit threes with Hal, but Hal Irwin's become the most useless three-point shooter in the world to where we're relying on a shooting guard with like 75 three-pointer. What's weird is if we were facing off against an Ohio Valley Conference team, we would have hit a lot of those close shots that we're missing. So I'm wondering if the higher overall of the UAB players is causing us to miss stuff that we'd normally hit. How Irwin hit a 3. It's a miracle. We're so back in this game. We also almost forced a steal, and they are not getting that board, which means we could take a lead on this possession. Okafor's out there on the court. He is subbed in to make a difference. I don't know what on earth we're doing offensively. We're picking up the ball, though, and Hal Irwin goes up strong. If any of you all watch some 2K YouTubers, I can only imagine that this gameplay is rough. But the last thing I can remember about playing a 2K game was Orange Juice, so that's got to be like 2K 17 or 18. It has been a minute, but we just drilled that 3 with Aaron Allen. He came in to make a difference for us. They're not going to hit the shot to end the half. And right now, we're in the position to move on to the next round. We just have to hang on to this lead. I'm more excited about the job offers I'm going to get at the end of the year than anything else. I want to see where we could end up, especially in episode number 2. And the better we do in March Madness, the better those offers are going to be. Okafor is not really doing much in ISO like he did as a freshman. But you also have to think, we were using him against a lot lower overall players, and we're just jacking this one up. This half has really been boring so far, though that was a good cut underneath. And I don't care if it's once every 5 games. If Hal Irwin's going to show out for us, I'm going to take it, but they've gotten back-to-back buckets. And we have such a big lineup out there on the court right now, I feel like I got to get some guards out there, though we'll take an open look at 3. It doesn't go in. It was probably a little bit too far back, but they shouldn't be able to get that board. And needing some experience in the final minute and a half, I have put Aaron Allen out there because I think he's going to help. Now, we should win this battle. Chris is much bigger than this kid. He backed him down, but bricked. And I hate how the second half is gone. They're calling us for a foul. We don't necessarily need a 3-point shot on this possession, but if we have it, we had to take it. And they just keep getting boards where they got another foul. It's just so frustrating. They're even getting a board off of the free throw, and there it is, another foul. I can't believe what I'm witnessing. This is another terrible collapse in the second half, unless Hal Irwin's about to get us right back in it. He isn't. And we sent their guard to the line where he went 1 for 2. I'm hoping that this one goes in, but at that point it was over. We're going to lose to a 10 seed. Were we going to win this entire tournament? Absolutely not, but UAB beat Texas in overtime in the next round, and they had themselves a good run as a 10 seed before losing to Missouri. The Final Four ended up being between them, Texas A&M, North Carolina, and Memphis. And the Aggies ended up winning the entire thing. To my surprise, for the first time, Player of the Year was not a center. And we already know we're going to dominate most of our conference awards. We didn't win Player of the Year, but we won Conference Freshman of the Year with Ronnie Weathers. He was also on first team. But none of that matters now, even if they're renewing my contract for 5 years. Armin Torres is entering the transfer portal, then Aaron Allen, Chris, and Hal Irwin are all graduating, which is great, but next year's team at Morehead State might not be as good. So I'm going to use the 3 more attribute upgrades that I have to boost up our offense because I struggle with it. We already have teaching maxed out for progression, charisma for recruiting, and now it's time to explore which teams want to offer us a job offer. Buffalo got rid of their head coach. He took a better job. Miami, Ohio is our first offer, and they're coming off a 22-8 season. Their roster makeup's pretty similar to ours, though I wish they had more freshmen. And I can pretty much guarantee I'm going to have a chance to have a job at all of these schools below them, so now you all have to let me know, where should I end up? There's so many we could go between. Eastern Michigan's another max school. I might need to win a mid-major conference before I start getting offers from some of the big ones. But their overall grade at small forward's 54, which is not enticing. And then I wanted to consider Georgia State because they're in Atlanta, great location, but their logo was so hideous back then. Like, this looks so bad, I can't coach for them. We could always go to the Sun Belt with Troy. They have a stadium of only 4,000. It's a bit small, but they went 26-10 last year. They have 2 juniors that are 80 overall, so we're guaranteed instant success. And then my final option is just staying at Morehead State, riding it out for a couple more years, maybe making a deeper tournament run so we get some better job offers. But I really couldn't tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to sit and think about this decision. Please let me know in the comments where you want me to go, how to be better on offense and even defense in this game, and also what you want to see out of the future of this series. I can't promise much to you all, but I can promise in episode 2 I'll be making my decision, and I hope it's the right one.